This one from Serious Will. Outside of Senga, the rotation consists of players on short-term deals. Are they putting too much faith into Vassell and Scott being able to lock down spots in the rotation for 2025?
So Sean Manaea is technically under control next year, so we don't want to remove him
And he
from the
could opt
equation.
out.
Just because he can doesn't mean necessarily
Right.
they will. Depends how he pitches. With that said, you also have, no one wants to hear about David Peterson and Tyler McGill and Jose Buto,
Yeah.
but those guys are still going to be under contractual control, at least as depth. But I think to the overall question, they're certainly hoping for one of these young players to establish themselves to take a rotation spot. But that's why you and I have said on this show, we want to start with more control. We've talked about Brandon Woodruff. We talked about guys on the trade market that could be available for, beyond 2024. And frankly, that's something they could address at the trade deadline too. Like at the deadline, they could, whether they're buying or selling, they could buy for 2024. There's no rule that says you have to buy or sell at the trade deadline. You could do both. So if the season doesn't go fantastic, you could sell off some rentals and buy something for next year. Like that's something that the Mets can do. But they're setting themselves up for a bit of a risky year where they're going to look a lot at these young pitchers a lot. And they're really relying on at least one of them hitting, because otherwise you're rebuilding 3 to 4 fifths of a rotation again next year. And that's really, really hard to do. I know we play fantasy GM on this show and Twitter and everywhere, but it ain't that easy to just fill out a rotation in one off season.
No, it's not. And you nailed it. You're hoping that one of the prospects shows enough this year that you're writing him in for next year. And that could be at the 4 or 5 spot. That's not, we don't need Matt Harvey and, Jacob deGrom, where you have a locked in
love
ace
it.
24.
That'd
great.
Be good.
Right. I think one idea I'd have, Joe, is that if Quintana pitches the first half of this year, like he did in the second half of last year, I would try to extend Quintana in season. I would go to Quintana and be like, if you like it here, we'd love to still have you here. Let's find something that works. He's an older pitcher that's very effective, because that is the kind of 3 or 4 that I'd rather just go into the offseason having. I don't have to think about it. I don't have to go overpay for a 3 or a 4 on a 5-year deal. So then you're lining up with you're almost lining it up 1-3-5, right? Senga, who's not maybe a traditional ace, but who knows? Actually, who knows? I mean, to be fair, the guy was floating around the Cy Young voting last year, so I'm not going to pretend that I know that. Him as the 1, Quintana as the 3, and then one of the young guys that does well this year is the 5. And then you have flexibility. If you go out and get one of the aces, then Senga's the 2, and you have a 1, 2, 3, and a 5. You get a 5, and then somebody has to pitch like a 4. But it's just flexibility. So, yeah, that would be one of my ideas if I was nervous about, oh, wow, we're going into the offseason. We need to sign 3 starting pitchers, and everybody knows it, so we're going to get taken for a ride in free agency.